All right, next day, we are out here at Pullen Bay. And this has been on the lot for 2 days. Purple LS400. It's pretty unmolested so far. So we're gonna tear into this thing and get that bracket for the SC400. All right, so basically part of what we need to convert the SC to electric fans is to have this bracket. So it's just like the one on the SC, except this one runs just a normal clutch fan on it. But we don't actually need this fan because we're just gonna do electrics, but we need this bracket and pulley. So we're gonna get this off of here. I've only got like half an hour till this place closes, so I'm boogieing, but I'm gonna tear into this and get this part. There's what we need. It's out of the car. I was very polite, put all my bolts and parts here. Put this over this very sharp metal. But we got it, and hopefully it's like the forum's saying, that lines up perfectly with my SC, but we will find out. But I've got 10 minutes and I've got to get out of here. But I just stopped by to look at this SC400, and it had the non-traction control throttle body, which is an absolute find for me. I was about to modify my stock one, so this is going home with me as well. Hey guys, so as usual, it's been a few days dealing with work and whatnot, but we're back to the SC400 here. Over the past few days, I've picked up some other parts. Got a new coolant temp sensor. It comes as a whole kit, but got a little crank seal, since for some reason that didn't show up with the whole conglomeration of parts I ordered. As I showed you guys, we've got the new bracket, which I need to get 4 new nuts to bolt that together nice and secure. We'll red Loctite it so it never comes off. Electric fans are on their way. Should be here in a couple more days, along with some wiring for that. Also went ahead and picked up some hosing and stuff for installing the catch can when I get to that point. So I'm ready to go with that. We've got the non-traction control throttle body, which I'm really excited about. But this evening, it's like 5:30. So we'll see how long I'll work, for a couple hours here or something, but we're gonna start in with our Helicoil kit. So if you've ever done one of these, you have to drill it to a specific size, run the tap through it, then you have an installer, install your Helicoil threads, and at that point we should be able to torque our new water pump on. So that's the minimum goal for today, is to get the new water pump on, torqued, done, and then we can continue putting together the rest of the timing setup. And then that way that's all done and ready to go by the time we throw our electric fans in. So I'm gonna tackle into it. Fingers crossed, as always. So very simply, the Helicoil is literally basically just, think of like a slinky made out of threads of a specific size. In this case, 8x125. I did grab a spare bolt out of that LS400 when I grabbed the bracket out of it, so that I have a spare to replace my broken water pump bolt. So you can see that thread's on there. That's all it is. So basically we just have to get these threads installed in the engine now. That is the whole point of this kit. All right, so thankfully in my tap and die kit, I had the right size drill bit. It's a 21/64. So got it drilled out. As predicted, the little guide dowel came out of the hole. But used their tap and ran that through a few times until it goes in and out pretty smoothly. And now this is the installation tool. So you'll see it's threaded. has kind of a notch on the end. So that way, when you spin your helicoil onto it, that notch on the end catches the helicoil, and that's how you drive the threads in. Now you also notice there's a little notch there. So what you can do there is once the helicoil's in, you can actually run a punch in and just knock the end of this thread off. And that way your bolt goes through this easily. So this, we just come down, and now we can just get it to catch and thread, hopefully. All right, so it is in and done. You can see the new threads there, and you can kind of see the difference. That's the original size, and that's the drilled out helicoiled one. It's not perfect. You can see it's a little off center, but for holding the water pump, it should do the trick. If you've ever kind of seen the meme online, it's pretty true. If you see someone working on a car and they've got this kit out, they're having a bad day. But I'd like to add to that, if you see they have this kit out, their day is really bad. And now they're struggling to save an engine. So, anyway, I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. There's metal shavings everywhere. And then we are going to see about throwing that new water pump on, get it torqued down to spec, and see how it looks. All right, so we've got new rubber O-ring on here with a little bit of lube on it. We've got our new gasket and our new water pump, which we will take, just kind of shimmy over that. There it is. We're gonna torque that on. So this is that little cap I showed you guys a while back off the side of the engine down here that we actually discovered while doing the PCV system. And this just bolts up onto a coolant passage. It's just fipped. You can see a little remnant there. So I've got it all cleaned up. So this is literally just as simple as putting a new layer of FIP on there and bolting it back to the side of the engine. We'll see, yep, right there you can see where it covers. That's where it was leaking out. So I've got to clean that piece of the engine there and then just put some gasket material on there and bolt it back up. But figured while the coolant was drained out of the engine, this is the best time as any to get him sealed back up. So that is fipped up and reinstalled. And head put the upper housing of the water pump. That's where the thermostat goes. So that is now in place. I think next I'm going to tackle the cam and crank seals. We removed one cam seal the other day. So then I need to pull this one, pull the crank seal, and get the new ones installed. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and tackle that real quick. Should be a fairly quick thing to do here. New cam seal, new crank seal. So those are all in. So now I think I'm gonna move back to the valve covers, see if I can get both valve cover gaskets knocked out tonight, get the new spark plugs in. All right, let's get this cleaned up some. You always wanna make sure you get your FIP cleaned off from around these, as well as pull your half moons out. You've got one here and one back here. Got those all cleaned up, and then you just apply a thin bit of FIP in there and pop them back in, simple as that. And then the valve cover holds those in place. So, yeah. So I'm gonna FIP those back in place, put new FIP. You always want new FIP in the corners of the cam caps. And then we'll throw this guy back on and get it torqued down. I got the spark plug tube seals replaced because the old ones are really brittle. And we've got our new valve cover gasket in and ready to go. So something else this kit came with that I always like to do is these little guys. And those are actually new little rubber grommets for the valve cover bolts. So I'll replace those as well before I pop it back on. But we should have one valve cover back on in a moment, and then we'll throw some spark plugs in. All right, calling it on another night. It's dark again. It's like pushing 9 o'clock. And I have to work in Denver tomorrow and leave my house at like 6:30 in the morning. So I gotta go get ready for work tomorrow. So calling it a night here, but what I accomplished, of course, we got our water pump, upper housing. We got that cap back there resealed. I threw that back on once I got the crank seal back in. We got both cam seals replaced. Valve covers torqued on. Spark plugs are installed. These are cool because the new NGK wires are actually labeled for which cylinder they are. And a really easy way to tell on these engines, if you look from the top, number one cylinder is always going to be towards the front of the engine. You can see this valve cover starts further back. So that's 2, this is 1. So we've got 1357. So that's 1357 plug wires. Reinstalled my rear cover, cam gear, and distributor bracket. So that's how far we got tonight. Hopefully tomorrow night or in a couple nights, we'll get this side knocked out, and then we can actually throw our timing belt back on. So my goal is to have the, like I said, the timing and everything back together by this weekend, and then hopefully this weekend we can do the electric fans install with all the wiring. I still have to pull the end of the fluid lines and the cooler out of the fender, so I'll do that as well this week. But fewer parts on the floor. We are making progress.